Hello, happy Friday. Thanks for joining me for a craft night with friends. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make cute embroidery kits for beginners, and I'm here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, and it's a time that we can relax and craft together here. All right, so we are hopefully on our last day of the lilac embroidery. We have the lilac kind of done, the floral part of it. We have to finish the squirrel, just his little face tonight. We have to do the stems and leaves and then stitch the lilac word. That might be a lot for tonight. We'll see how it goes, but I am still really trying to get it done by then. So, all right, let's go. Okay. Hey, blue butterfly. All right. Getting all set up here. Okay, so here's where we left off. Oh, let me scroll down. Oh, whose birthday is it? Oh, happy Friday. Oh, I thought you said happy birthday. Adrian. Okay, hello everyone. So we finished up our lilac flowers last night. I think it looks so cute. It's so full and pretty. I like it. So next up, I kind of want to just get through the rest of this. So I'm going to start with his little face. That's done in black, and it's all backstitch. And then I want to do the leaves, which is the green with a stem stitch. So that's plan number one. So let's get our black out. Open a new black. We hardly need any of this, so I'm probably actually not going to cut off too much. Let's do about, I don't know, 10 inches or so. Just his little face is black. All right, I'm going to take off the sweater, man. It's that weird time of year that like I feel like I can't quite decide if I'm hot or cold. I think has to do with humidity too. And I was just moving around a little bit here, and I don't know, maybe I warmed up a bit. All right, so taking my 3 strands out. Oh my god, can't pick anything up. So I hope everyone had a lovely Friday. It is so beautiful outside. John and I had our dinner outside today. We got some soup from the store, and he put together like a little kind of charcuterie plate. Like he put he cut up some bread and cheese and fruit basically, and made like a little plate up. So chicken soup and some charcuterie. It's not even really charcuterie, just some fruit and bread and olives. There's no actual meat on that. But it was just nice to sit outside. It was like that perfect temperature. And we did a little test. Where did I end up here? Oh, in the middle of the face. Okay, so let's do his, I'm gonna do his eyeball first. So these are really little circles, but I'm gonna do like a little hexagon. Oh, Andrew creates, oh, that's funny. Alyssa, Villasenor. I haven't watched Saturday Night Live in a while. We don't get that channel very well. We never switched to digital when all the TV switched over, so we still have an antenna. Otherwise, we just use streaming, so Netflix or whatever. So we never switched to digital TV. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whenever they did that. So we have a little antenna, and NBC, which I think is Saturday Night Live, doesn't come in anymore. So I only get to see that when I'm at my parents'. Alyssa, Villasenor. All right, last little eye. So that hexagon really does make a circle look like a circle. It's actually a bunch of straight lines together, but since they're real little, I think it looks good. Oh, thanks, Veronica. All right, let's get the nose in. I'm just gonna jump onto the nose. So all of the eye and the nose and the little mouth, I'm gonna just kind of jump to those items and then weave in the ends. Whereas this other eye, since it's kind of floating all by itself, I'll probably do that method where I leave a little bit of floss hanging out, enough floss to do one stitch, and we'll stitch around, and except for that one stitch, and then we'll make that stitch and then weave in that end. I don't start with knots. I weave in the ends typically, so that's kind of my strategy for weaving in the end at the beginning and the end. Oh, thanks, Kimberly. Nice seeing you pop in. All right. Real quick, we're gonna get through these little parts today. So here's where I'm saying I don't really want to jump up to the eye, because you'll see like this big black line of thread, theoretically, like so, jumping up to that line on the back. So I'm going to try and isolate that eye so it's all by itself. We'll see how that goes. So I'm weaving in this end, and I'm going to start fresh. It's kind of like, I guess I'm doing like a little tedious extra little bit doing all that, but I'm used to it now. Hey Grace, hey Sheila, hey Amy. Over on the YouTubes. Okay, so I have a little bit left. I think we cut the perfect amount for this. So here's where I'm saying I'm gonna leave a little bit hanging out, so he's gonna have like laser eyes for a sec here, and I'm going to just let that dangle and then stitch the eye except for the last stitch, and then we'll finish that stitch with this thread, and then we'll weave in that end. I usually you know, this is a new kind of technique for me, and I've been doing it when I don't have to like stitch a lot in the same area. Like I don't want to ooh, I made that stitch a little bit funny, but I kind of like it. I don't do it when the thread might get in the way. Alright, so this is going to be my last stitch coming from this side. Get in there. And then I have one last stitch to do, but I'm going to do it with this little piece and then weave in that end. So first I'm going to weave in this one. It's not much to weave in, but it's kind of like, it's almost like tying a knot around all these little bits here. All right. And so here's where I'm going to grab that thread again. And we'll finish that last stitch, which is really that first stitch, I suppose. There we go. Now we can weave that end into the same sort of area, and then we did the eye without having to make a jump that we could see from the front. Oh, Kimberly, yes, I'm still doing the dip powder. This is my 5th time doing the dip powder, and I still have not figured out a great way taking it off yet. Although I think I'm improving each time taking it off. I tried to do 2 different colors this time, and it just turned out wackadoodle looking, but I'm just letting it be for another week. And then just trying something else. Trying it again. Yeah, I'm gonna wait a whole nother week yet. I did chip one already, but like, I think I just did them last Saturday, and I don't want to deal with doing it weekly. At least every 2 weeks is my goal. Okay, green. So let's do the stem stitch here. I think we go like in front of his little leg there, then behind this hand, and then, yeah, behind the hands. Okay, so I'm going to do this line here first, and then maybe we'll backtrack a little and do this guy and the leaf, and then maybe we'll be out of thread by then, and then we'll get the other two leaves. So this is the stem stitch, will be the stem stitch. I'm still going to get my 3 strands out of here. Let's start with a nice good size piece, so my 24 inches or so. Okay. All right, I'm going to grab my 3 strands. So this should appear like a nice thick line, because stem stitches are almost like stitches that are right next to each other, almost like stair-stepped stitches at an angle. Oh, thanks, Kimberly. Oh, Amy. So Amy says, I saw an ad for Nail Boo, which is what these are, and showed those black fingertip things in the ad. Do you think those would help? So those actually came with the bundle, the like starter bundle that I got from there. And I don't know, like it's less about that than, I don't know. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think I need to buy more acetone too, because I think it's just about the time that acetone spends on your hand, and like with those finger things, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't get like total contact all the time. So exactly, Nolene, I'm gonna look into that. So Nolene says, Alyssa, did you see the electric nail grinder for buffing nails? So, oh, I didn't see that specifically. I'll look at that, but I have seen, like the mechanical, like the little mini Dremel tools, I guess, basically, with the files at the end. I think that's the key. So the last time I took the nails polish off, I took a harsh file, like a really coarse file, and got as much of the like top coat off that I could. And I think that really was the key. So that sped it up a little. It was still not fast. But it just took like one movie to take it off instead of like 3. Maybe that's exaggerating a little bit. I don't know. I don't think, not really. But anyway, it's still not to where I want it to be. So I think the sanding off is probably just the route to go. Just sand it off as much as you can. And then, whether that's with a file or one of those little Dremel tools, I might have to look into that. I don't think I'm quite ready for that. I'm gonna give this. I got a bunch of really coarse nail files. I thought I was getting one, but then a whole pile of them came. So I'm gonna test that out one more time by doing it a lot more than I did last time. So last time was the first time that I really was like, okay, I think the sanding it off is, I guess, like what everyone says, I guess that's important. So I decided, fine, I'm going to focus on that. But now I think I need to focus on it even more. So I'm going to sand it off a lot. Not all the way through the nail polish, because I don't want to hit my nail at all. But, this nail polish is still pretty thick. I don't think I'll ever get through it totally. But yeah, so I'm gonna try the extra filing next time and see if that helps. So that'll probably be next weekend. Next weekend's job. Next Saturday's job. Alright, stem stitch. So for a stem stitch, first of all, you can come up to the bottom of the line. Not like back stitch where you have to come up like a stitch length away, but we're going to come up at the bottom. And, oh, thanks, Amy. I'm going to actually push on my piece a little bit, my fabric, just to loosen it a little bit, because I'm going to use the sewing method for this stem stitch, which I'll show in a sec. I'll show you both ways, but once I discovered, I always had a really hard time with stem stitch, and I hated it. I just had such a hard time with it. And then I realized by doing the sewing method, which I'll show you here, that made it way easy all of a sudden. So
So let's do that first. So I'm going to start up at the beginning of the line, and we can see something here too that we're going to address. Our arc, our line kind of goes up this way and then down and then back up. So we kind of have an arc here, and then we have an arc going in the opposite direction here. So I'm going to actually switch the angle of my stitches, or switch my stitches a little bit to do the two different curves, and that'll make sense in a moment here. Yeah, so this first arc, and actually I'm going to stop at the hand, so this is actually arc number 1, and then we're going to do this little piece here, which is kind of straight, and then this piece here, because we're stopping at the hands, because we're kind of going underneath this little pause. So this first arc is kind of an upward arc, so I'm going to leave my thread going above. So if the arc is going up, my thread is going up. If my arc is going down, then my thread is going to go down underneath, like this. But in this case, it's going up, so I'm going to have the thread go up. I'm going to take kind of a longer stitch than what we were doing with the back stitch, so I'm at like at least a 1/4 inch, maybe even a little bit more. And I'm going to stitch on the line, and then in the same motion, I'm going to come up kind of like right in the middle of the line. And then I'm going to pull through. And my arc is up on top there, so when I pull this all the way through, there's my first stitch. So for the second stitch, though, I'm going to make that arc shape again. So that means my thread's got to come up here, and I have that upward arc again. And so I'm going to go in again like a 1/4 inch away, and then I'm going to come up just about in the same hole. It doesn't have to be exactly, but like in that same spot where this stitch ends right here, like so the furthest away like point of that stitch. So I'm going to go in and out in that same motion, and my arc is up on top still, and then we're pulling. So it's the act of like me lifting this up and making the stitch that's kind of holding all those stitches in place. But we can see here it's almost like we have like 2 stitches that part of it is next to each other. So let's do another one. Make my thread go up because I'm still working on that upward arc. We'll go right here. Thread goes up again, and then my last stitch, I'm just going to go right to the hand there. And there we go. So that is the stem stitch. I'm going to come back up. We'll do it again for this little segment. So no, this one doesn't really have an up or down really arc, so I'm just going to go up, in and out, up, let's go here, in and out. And again, you don't have to be in that exact same hole, but you want to sort of be on that line there. Oh, and I think we'll just finish it there. There we go. It's very cute. I like it. So it's making almost like a double thickness line, like how I was saying. And all the stitches are kind of like little diagonals next to each other. That's kind of the look we're going for here. So now here, a little bit different. We have a downward arc. So the arc is going like that. So now my thread's going to go downward. Other than that, it's the exact same thing. So in and out. Okay, I'm going to have my thread go downward again. Arc's going downward. In and out, sort of in that same spot. In and out. I'll show you the stabbing method of this. So we're still doing the sewing method where I go in and out in the same motion. That's some people's go-to way of embroidery. That's not how I learned, so it's not a second nature for me. But specifically for this stitch, it works really, really well. That sewing method, specifically for the stem stitch. So there we go. Got our first little bit. So you can kind of see the diagonals. If you are like really, really digging into this, the diagonals are all kind of going this way for the upward arc, but then they're kind of layered the opposite way for the downward arc. So now we could have done like having our thread upward for this downward arc if we wanted to. That would have been fine, but you get like a little bit more of like an eyelashing effect. Like sometimes you can see, like if you're doing a curve, sometimes you'll see the end before the next one starts. By having the arc mimic the arc of the line, your thread, when you take the needle out and pull, it's going to hold that arc in that downward position if you have an underneath, like a downward arc. I don't know. I don't know if that made all that much sense, but if we did like a tight curve, for example, how you're pulling your thread out, it's kind of like how in the Lazy Daisy stitch, when you have that loop and you pull your thread through, that your thread is holding that loop in place. It's very similar to the stem stitch, except for instead of your loops coming to the same point, it's very stretched out along the line. But my thread is still kind of, my thread that's coming up, like at this motion, this thread, this one, is going to hold this arc in place a little bit. Ooh, got a little loose there. Okay, so I'm going to do this. This is a upward arc. So the stabbing method is similar. This I found really difficult when I started, because here's the deal. Like when I started to do a stem stitch or try to do a stem stitch, I would make my first stitch, right? And I'd pull my thread all the way through. But then to get back up here and get on the correct side of the thread, like I got to go on this side. That was really, really difficult because my thread was always in the way. So that's why the sewing method works so well with this. But you can do the stabbing method still. You just have to kind of go down, and you still have to have your arc going in the same direction. You just have to go down and come up right away before pulling through anymore. What makes it difficult is if you pull your stitch the entire way before coming up. So you can still do the stabbing method. Sometimes you might need to get your thread on the right side. Back to the sewing method. And I think we'll just make that our last stitch right there. Okay, so there's the middle bit. I'm going to hop back over here. So now here we have the upward arc still. It's a tighter curve, so I might make my stitches a little bit smaller just to get that curve. And actually, let's do the stabbing method. There we go. Yeah, this is pretty. Oh, Gretchen says, I really love this color green. Yeah, this is our fresh basil color. I do like this a lot. So my stitches always kind of get a little bit bigger when I'm on these more straightaways. I should maybe stay a little bit more consistent, but oh well. I'm doing like, these are like 1/2 inch big stitches almost now. They're still working. Oops. But this is such a pretty look. And this is like a super duper traditional stitch. Like if you find, or if you've made, or your grandparents or parents made those like tea towels and then, stuff, vintage sort of tea towels. If you find them in antique stores or anything, most likely they are heavily done with this stem stitch. Another reason for that is because it's kind of easy to do without a hoop, because you are doing that sewing method. I'm going to flip around the side. Oh, so here's a little trick. So I need to do this line now, right? But so I'm gonna kind of rotate like here because I always like working like left to right for the stem stitch, but I need to start my stitch at the beginning of this row, right? I need to start right there, but we just finished our last stitch there, so if I go in the same spot, I'm gonna pull out my last stitch. So that's gonna happen anytime you have a point, like an angle, a corner, like a corner of a shape, and you're doing a stem stitch. So here's the trick to being able to come up in that exact same hole that you just finished this last stitch with. So I finished the stitch. I'm gonna now flip it to the back, and I'm gonna pass my needle underneath this last stitch that's just hanging out there, like so. And now I can come back up in that same hole, and it's not going to come out because I wrapped it around that stitch, that previous stitch. So now I can come out of the same hole right there, and it's not going to take out my last stitch. So again, I just like went around the previous stitch. So that's a trick to do corners with stem stitch, so you don't pull out. Oops. I'm gonna try that a little bit differently. So this is kind of, we have almost like an underneath arc and then an above arc. Actually, it's more kind of straight, so I'm gonna just do an above arc. But let's say this was more pronounced, like an under arc and then an above arc. I could start out with my thread underneath and then switch it to above, and it would be perfectly fine. Your stitches are gonna look great. You don't have to, once you start with a certain, like, over your arc is over or under, you don't have to keep it that way. I mean, you should keep it as long as you can, but you can switch in the middle of a line and it's going to be okay. In this case, it's sort of a little bit of a downward arc, but it's almost kind of straight. And since I have to do a very clear, like, upward arc there, I'm just going to do the whole thing with an upward arc. Again, if you have your fabric a little looser in the hoop, this is easier. This coming up part is easier. Oh, Gretchen says, I'm finally doing my lilac, save the best for last. So you did all the other, you did the squirrel and the text and the all the leaves beforehand. I could never. That would be a big challenge for me to save that for the last. Uh-oh. I have a little strand that keeps wanting to come out a little bit, it seems like. Alright, I think we'll just end this one right there. Pretty. Okay, so I think, well, yeah, I'm gonna end this thread. It's just, it's not gonna, stem stitch kind of takes up a lot of thread. Man, we are using stitches that suck up the thread for this design, it seems like, but this isn't going to get me far enough to do anything with the bit I have left. Now, if we're still doing the lazy daisies and the French knots, I would have tried to squeak out at least another couple French knots out of there. But not for the stem stitch. Okay. Let's thread this quick while I got it here. Oh, we'll still do our special tonight, you guys. So order $20 or more in the shop, and I will throw in a free mystery gift. No code needed. I will just see who orders during our live, and I'll throw one in. So thanks so much. Oh, Gretchen says, leaving that for last, the thing that you want to do the most. It makes me look forward to the piece de resistance. That's funny. I can see that. What do I sell? We sell embroidery kits and embroidery supplies and other craft supplies. Every time I watch you, I learn something. Ooh, that's awesome. I'm happy to hear that, Moo. I wish I had known. Oh, during the last project. Oh, the changing the angle thing, or like the corner. Yeah, that was sort of a little bit of a game changer for me. I'm like, dang, that's That's the way to do it. All right, I think I'm going to start here, go up here, and then come back up for this line, I think. So let's weave in the stitches right here. One. So, and my embroidery kits come with all the supplies to get started. All you need is a scissors. My newer kits, the ones that are in this is like one of our 4-inch kits. We have 4-inch kits and 8-inch kits. And the ones that are in the boxes that look like this are our newer kits. Those all come with pre-printed fabric as well. Our older kits have blank fabric, but it has like an iron-on transfer that comes with it. All right, stem stitch, beginning of our row right here. All right, so we got an upward arc going here to that point. So I keep putting this in the upward position. I keep like putting it up like that, but I think I could just pull the thread through and have it end up like that. So I could just go like, like pull up this way, and that would do the job too, instead of me having to place it upward each time. That's a faster way of doing it. Eliminating a silly step that I was doing. But sometimes it just wants to be down. So like when it's so that's kind of why I needed to pull it up sometimes is, you know, I got an arc right here, but I'm stitching with straight lines, right? So by pulling this upward, it's then putting a curve into that straight line of a stitch. Before doing the next stitch, I'm going to just do the next stitch here and now get all this out of my way. There we are. This is easier, I feel like, when my thumb is close enough to hold it in place. I feel like I have to have my left hand on the back to kind of prop up the fabric to do the sewing method stitch. Man, I whine about being in the center of my hoop a lot, but oh well. And I feel like I'm going fast, but man, I am not fast like how someone can really do this stem stitch. Like, you can just see people going shoot, 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 doing the stem stitch. I do actually think the stem stitch is easier without the hoop, but this is fine. All right, last stitch there. So again, I can't come up in that same spot to start my next line because I'll pull out this stitch, so I got to go around back, put my needle through that last stitch, so we're kind of trapping it, and now I can come up through that last spot there. There we go. And like I said, I like going left to right, so I'm going to rotate my piece. So now we got this underneath arc, so I'm going to go underneath here, underneath with my thread. And we'll do this entire line from the underneath. From the upside down. All right, there we are. And last up is this line, but I think I'm going to be real picky. Instead of jumping right there because I'll see like this line, I'm going to just kind of travel in the backs of some of these stitches and then back up here. I can tell it's late because normally I don't think I'd be that picky, but now that line's going to be hidden within stitches that already exist there. You're not going to see that jump there. That's me being pretty picky. All right, so this one, it's kind of a straight line. So I don't know, we're going to go underneath. So I can choose to go underneath or above. Doesn't really matter. I think going underneath, the thread stays out of my way a little bit more. Gosh, I think I might need to get a whole new piece of thread for that last one. Boop. Some people, instead of just doing that one stitch to the end, sometimes they'll add a little half stitch here, just so it's the same thickness, because technically right here, this little end piece is like one thickness of thread, whereas, you know, right underneath, all the other parts are like two thicknesses, and right here too is just like one, so sometimes people will put another extra half stitch there, but I don't mind it like kind of tapering at the ends. I think that's kind of pretty. All right. I don't know. Should we try zooming over there? Let's just, I think instead of starting fresh over there, like cutting my thread and starting over there, I'm going to just go in the backs of all these stitches. I think there's so many stitches on here that we can cut across and it's going to be hidden. And I think that'll preserve a little bit more thread. Where do we want to start though? Oh, I'm almost positive this thread isn't going to make it the entire way, which sucks. I think we'll do this arc first. So I'm going to kind of come up to here. Oh gosh, it'd be so close. I mean, it looks like I have a ton of thread here yet, but, you know, we are kind of doubling up these stitches, so it does suck it up pretty quick. Ugh, but it'd be awesome if we could make this whole way. Let's see, so I got an upper arc. So I'm going above. Oh, let's do the stabbing method a little bit. There we go. Because I can't reach with my left hand to feel the back, so I'm just going to do the stabbing method. Oh, I'm for sure not going to have enough floss. Boo! Man, I've been losing, or basically losing, thread chicken a lot in this embroidery. Struggled with that last night. I don't know if any of you were here last night. I tried to do like a lazy daisy stitch with like this much thread left. That didn't really pan out very well, but we sort of did it. That arc is really pretty. I think that turned out nice. Ugh, I need to do more stem stitch. It's just pretty. This is sometimes called the outlining stitch. So in some like traditional patterns, or like, you know, if you get, you know, some Chinese pattern from Amazon or something, a lot of times they'll call it outlining stitch, and sometimes they'll call several different stitches outlining stitches. But I think traditionally the stem stitch was often called a stem or a outline stitch. I like kind of talking about outline stitches as a category, and you know, I would put like a back stitch, a split stitch, or a stem stitch. I would put kind of under a category of stitches used for outlining, and therefore outlining stitches. But I think a lot of times in vintage patterns, yeah, you'll sometimes the stem stitch will be oftentimes referred to as an outline stitch. Okay, I have this much thread left. God, can I get all the way over there? I'm gonna maybe make my stitches a little bit bigger and maybe a little bit further apart when I come back up. So like here, for example, I don't have to come up in the same hole. I can like go a little bit further away, and it'll still be the stem stitch. It'll just be like maybe a little bit thinner of a stem stitch, because I don't have two strands right next to each other for the whole time. But oh my god, I want to win thread chicken here. I think we're gonna do it. Yay! Boop. Heh. There we go. So a little bit different. You can see the diagonals maybe a little bit more because I made the stitches a little further apart. I didn't go right on top of each other, so it does give a hair of a different look. And actually, you can play with that throughout a piece, but you know, it's so subtle, like I can't tell. All right. But see how my stitches are a little further apart here? Like I have a little gap in between them versus like these ones where I was pretty close to each other. guess some of them I didn't get that close either down here. Well, maybe that's why it looks like the other ones, because I already was being a little further apart, but ha. Fared well at that thread chicken. Okay. Boop. Dang, that actually went a lot faster than I thought. That's fabulous. So we still have the lilac text to do, but look, we got this whole motif, the lower motif kind of done. So that's looking super duper fun. Happy with that. Okay, let's just relocate this guy. There, my little needle minder. PF penguinfish swag needle minder, I suppose. All right, so I'm gonna just kind of tighten this back up in here. Actually, you know what? Maybe we'll do. I'm thinking maybe I'll do the sewing method of stitching the back stitch because it's faster, and you know we have about 15 minutes left here, or 17, 18 minutes or so. And I'm trying to get this done. I'm actually further ahead tonight than I thought I'd be at this time, which is awesome. I just really love the stem stitch for these leaves. Oh my gosh, so fun. All right, so maybe I'm going to keep, my point being is maybe I won't tighten my fabric. I'll leave it a little bit more loose because then it's easier for me to do that in and out motion of the sewing method of embroidery. So I think we'll just leave it loose. All right, doesn't look like I have any leftover blue, so we're going to cut a new piece. I'm sure this will take 2 pieces. It's, you know, it's a little area here, but it's the surface area, meaning like there's a lot of surface area of stitches here. It's pretty packed in. Not as packed in as what we did there, but packed in enough to think that I might use more than one long piece here. All right, let's get our 3 strands out. I'm going to bop the end here just to separate the strands and isolate one. There we go. 1. Sometimes I always think it's good practice just to kind of like loosen these up a little bit more just to make sure it doesn't like knot when you pull out your pieces, but you can just skip that too and just pull the next piece out. There we go. All right, so that piece is ready for later. Presumably I'll need it later, and we'll match up these ends. They're a little curvy, so I might just kind of get them close here, and then we'll just trim them to all be the same. I'll just trim them right into my little garbage here. All these little curly ends. There we go. Thread our needle, and let's do actually, now that I'm thinking about it, well, let's see, I could weave in the ends here. Like, I was thinking that I'd have to start with another, like a way knot that I'd weave in later, but we're actually close enough to this leaf that, you know, me jumping from here to there wouldn't really be detectable, so we could stitch this like in reverse. I barely ever do that for text, but because I like just doing it in order. But why don't we do that? Let's do that. Then I don't have to weave in an end later. We'll just weave in the back of this green, and then we'll jump over to that letter C. All right, here's my pass number 2. And we'll come up for 3. Right there. Okay, let's leap over here, and oh, I was thinking let's see. Oh, it doesn't matter. Fine. We're gonna start like a stitch length away or so. So we got a lot of tight little curves in this. So I don't know if I'll do the sewing method for the whole thing, just because I don't feel like I'm very accurate with tight little curves. But we'll give it a go. So I'm gonna go in and out. in the same motion. So I'm ending the first stitch and starting the next stitch. And then going back in the hole. So ending that stitch and then starting the next stitch. So this is the sewing method, again, where I go in and out in the same motion. Stabbing method, which is how I learned, and my go-to is I bring the thread all the way down, find my next spot, bring it all the way up. So it's more motions, right? But I feel like I get a little bit more accuracy with that. I'm trying to learn how to be more accurate with the sewing method, which is going in and out in the same motion. And I found that having the looser hoop, so I can kind of bend around places, or the fabric looser in the hoop, that really has helped me with my accuracy in the sewing method. Oh, and I do always have to rotate a ton in the sewing method too, where I don't have to at all, really, in the stabbing method. Just because I can only really go right to left. I wonder if people that do the sewing method all the time can go at all different angles. Like, I just think that'd be like a lot of weird angle, like going like this to get from left to right. That's like really uncomfortable. So I'm wondering if people who do sewing method all the time rotate their pieces like I do all the time. Ooh, don't catch on there. All right. I can even do the sewing method from the last stitch here to where I want to come up next, way down there, which is kind of fun. Ooh, there's a tight little curve here. The sewing method is faster though. Like, once you get cranking, I mean, you know, I'm skipping a step from having to pull all the way back and to pull all the way front, and you're less likely to get knots really too, because you're never going to be on the back. You're always kind of shimmying through to the front. I do feel like this twists the thread a bit more, so you might find that because you are going in the same motion over and over, you're like twisting the thread each time you go through, almost, is kind of how I like to think about it. So it might get more and more twisty like that, so I might have to let it dangle for a bit at some point, but for right now, we're good. All right. Coming up at the next sort of spot here. Yeah, like right now, that was kind of a little jumble, so I'm just going to let it hang and dangle. I find that I don't have to do this very often when I am using the stabbing method, but like, yeah, this sewing method, I think, curls it all up. Oh, Sheila is saying Wednesday night you were asking about a koala bear needle minder. I think that would be great. A gray koala with either a white or blue background. Oh, that'd be fun. Would be very pretty. Looking forward to see what you come up with. I'm excited for that. I might work on that this weekend a little. I actually have a bunch of new little fun things that I'm gonna try and get kind of made so we can share with them. Share it with you guys soon. Some fun over the weekend stuff. Over the weekend work. And I'll probably crochet a bunch too. I've been working on that doily a bunch, and if we just chill at some point or hang out outside, I might bring that out. All right, so now here I'm going to do the stabbing method just because it's going to be hard to come up where there's a stitch already. I feel like it's going to be easier for me to come up straight up, like with the stabbing method, where I can really kind of place my needle. All right, and now I can come up at the next spot. But man, I think by using the sewing method, I've been doing it a lot today. By using the sewing method a lot today, like way more than my normal, what I normally do, because like I said, I usually use the stabbing method a lot, but I think this is speeding up our day. Like, I mean, you know, we screamed through these leaves for sure, because the stem stitch, you can do those bigger stitches plus using the sewing method, the in and out sewing method, and then, you know, doing that for these back stitches too. That's been working well today. We might even get done on time. I was not expecting that. I was thinking, oh man, we might go like a half hour over or something today just because based on what we had finished last night and me just like kind of guessing, estimating how much, oops, I don't think I was accurate there, how much time we might have left. I was thinking to be a little bit more than that hour, but I don't know. I'm thinking we're in great shape. Alright, coming up onto the other side, and now I gotta rotate again. I like this text on this one. So this is sort of like a continuation of this this kind of flower series where we have like the flower, like here's the peony, where we have the text and the flower, and then a few little characters, and then we have the sunflower one as well. I feel like this lilac one is kind of a continuation of like, I don't know, a little mini series that I'm working on, and it's helping me just one of the reasons I did it was so I could just practice drawing type some more and play with just so because these are all of my hand-drawn type, like it's not a font. I drew it all, so it's been fun just like attempting to do that. Like, what does a calligraphy L look like? You know, like as I draw it like this, but I'm like, that's not how it's really done in calligraphy. It kind of stops and then they start it up again. So it's almost, I've been able to study type again a little bit and practice drawing it to do these projects, these latest floral ones. So it's fun stitching over them. I'm like, oh yeah, this the arc of this L is pretty. I like how it looks. So I'm just kind of revisiting that in my head as I stitch these. All right, I think we might get all the way to this eye, which is perfect because then we can, because we're kind of land in the middle, like where do I go next? There's no nice clear path after I do this eye. Like I'm not starting at the beginning or the end of the line. So if I can thread chicken this to the rest of the eye and that little French knot on him, then that'd be great. Then I can start my next floss on, you know, probably right here. I'll weave into the backs of these stitches and just hop on down. I think that will be great. Yay, we're gonna be done with this today. So again, this is our embroidery of the month. I think we have, there's like 2 weeks left in, I think 2 weeks left in June. I think not this week Friday, but the Friday after, I believe, is July 1st. So that's when the new embroidery of the month will be out. All right, let's do our little French knot. Did a whole pile of those yesterday. One last one here. And actually, I have enough floss left over, I think, to keep going. I am going to kind of travel in the backs of these stitches. We'll just kind of travel to like here. We're definitely not going to get the whole way, but I'm going to get a little bit of the ways. For back stitch, I got to make this a little looser here. That was hard to get my needle up high enough. But for back stitches, I try and get as much use out of my floss as I can. Still need to use that second piece, but oh well. We'll have a longer piece left over. Oops, shoot. Well, I did what I do always when I get to a piece this long. I accidentally pull too far and pull the needle right out. Actually, maybe I'll switch to the stabbing method just for this last little bit. So stabbing method again is I go all the way up and all the way down. I'm not going in and out in the same motion. Alright, I
that's it for this floss. So let's flip that around to the back and weave in that end. And we'll get our last little bit of blue. Ooh, just enough to weave it in one more time, I think. There we are. I thought I lost my scissors for a sec, but it was just blending in with the floss. Like, but at my first glance, I couldn't see it on my tray there. Okay, blue. Let me just thread you while I'm on the back here yet, and weave you in. Then we'll flip around. Most of our patterns, including this one, are also available as a PDF too, so if you want to start stitching right away, we do have those digital versions. I'm hoping to do a lot more digital stuff too coming up. We'll see. It's nice to have it all ready for you, but sometimes it's nice to just get that PDF for cheaper and then stitch on whatever you got. And I also like the PDFs, because yeah, you can choose your fabric that you want to stitch on, and you can enlarge the design or shrink the design to whatever size you want to, and it's easier to do those little adaptations. All right, now I'm going to go back to the sewing method. Theoretically, come on, there we go. I gotta practice this more, the sewing method. It really is a whole lot faster. Sometimes I just don't think my stitches look quite as clean and accurate, but I'm trying to get better at that. Dang, we are gonna be done so on time. I keep saying that over and over again because I'm surprised. Like I said, I thought we were going to go at least like a half hour over. We're here typically for an hour, so I'm here from 8:30 p.m. Central Time to 9:30. But every once in a while, a job just ain't done yet, so we keep going. And I thought for sure we'd be going late tonight, but dang, we are so gonna be like right on time. I'm just impressed at the speed tonight, and I am just chalking it up to that we are doing this sewing method. So someone suggested doing the sewing method for the lilacs, this text yesterday, to speed it up, and I'm glad I remembered that, someone mentioning that, because this really is going quick. It's making me wonder, why am I not doing that more often? Yep. Come back there. Last little loop-de-loop. So we have 2 free weeks next week. So next week we will do a little bit on the Splendid Sampler too, since we need to still put some time into that project. That would be a good, like, oh god, I was going to say that'd be a good Saturday project where we just are on for a long time to get some stuff done, but in reality, we could be on for like a bunch of hours and not even get one block done on that project. So maybe we just keep ticking away at it. So I'd like to at least spend one day on it next week, maybe even 2 or 3 on the Splendid Sampler quilt. And then we have almost like a week and a half after that is free. So we could, I don't know, we could make a little tote bag out of this guy, or we could stitch one of our new little designs. Like, I would love to actually stitch this little piggy. We could color it in too. That'd be kind of fun. Yeah, we could do some more tatting. Like, I haven't done that in a while. I could just sit and crochet on my doily the whole time. We could do a whole pile of different things. Alright, and
1 and 2, and here is our last stitch. There we are. Hee hee. Okay, I am so excited. Like I said, I was not expecting to be done already. We are like right on time. This is fabulous. I really like how this one turned out. Just, I mean, I know it's not, doesn't look real because it still looks like stitches and everything, but I feel like I feel like the lilac flower part almost looks, it's got like that real feeling. Just throw it over there for now. Just with all the different colors and texture and stuff, I just think that it looks like really like the real deal. I feel like I need to spray it with some yummy lilac scented something now. But there we go. So maybe actually we can finish this one in the hoop or something. Maybe we could do something pretty with the hoop. Like we could paint it or maybe like wrap it with some purple fabric or something, and then maybe make a cute bow for it or something and bring all the thread to the back. Oh, that reminds me. That's kind of what we were talking about maybe doing next week, that we could stitch. We were talking about maybe I could stitch up this little rooster here, which wouldn't take, God, I wonder if we could do this in one session. I wonder if we could do this in an hour. We might get close to being done, but then we could stitch this. Oh, we talked about maybe coloring them in too with colored pencil, doing the color tinting of the embroidery before stitching it. That'd be a fun technique to do again. But then we could wrap this hoop with fabric all cute and do a little back. But we were talking about, like, I could make this for John's mom. They have the chickens, so this could be just like a cute little wall art that we could give to them about their chicken. So I could stitch a whole back piece for it. Like maybe I'll get another piece of fabric and write to John's mom from us or whatever, and date it or something. And then we'll put both pieces of fabric in and do our little finishing little bit where we bring the fabric to the back. And then it'd be fun to maybe wrap the hoop so it's decorative. I don't know. Maybe that'll be a project for next week. Then we can have that as a little gift. I think that'd be fun. So, all right. Okay, so like I said, we got done with that so quickly here. Here we go. So sweet. Oh, just like from far away, I think that lilac just looks super cute. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. Yeah, for sure. And like I said, all night, I'm super surprised that we're done with it. I thought, based on what we had as far as surface area yesterday, I thought it was going to take a long time, but maybe it's because it's not so dense. Like the lilac flowers felt like they were taking forever, but it's because there's a lot of stitches in that small area, and this is maybe a little bit more spread out. What about wrapping the squirrel with lilac yarn? Ooh, lilac yarn. I'm going to have to see if I have any lilac yarn. Ooh, I do have yarn in my head that would work. And add tassels. That would be cute. I wonder if we could add something that would like mimic the leaves in some way, or not the leaves, the little flowers. I'll have to think about that. But yeah, I love that idea. I'm thinking almost like a pom-pom where you didn't cut the loops, but how would you even do that? Because then the loops would look like little flowers. I don't know. Thinking. But yeah, we have a lot of opportunity at the end of this month because there's more time than usual. A lot of opportunity to play around. So that'll be fun. So, all right, you guys. It is Friday. So I hope you have a fabulous weekend. I'll keep that special going for about another 10 minutes or so about 9:45ish. So order $20 or more in the shop, and I will throw in a free mystery gift. You don't have to put it in your cart, and you don't have to have a code. I'll just check if it was ordered during that time and throw it in for you. So thanks again, everyone. Have a lovely, lovely weekend and rest of your Friday, and I will see you again on Monday. Good night.